So this movie was trash.
I liked it, though.
Did you, though?
Okay, honestly, it gave me PTSD, but I think I liked it.
So I was halfway through walking out of the theater and telling you, I can't deal with this. And I was going to sit outside on the movie theater Wi-Fi and just check Facebook while you finished the movie because I could almost not deal with that until this one part came up where the pole broke and they all fell in doo-doo. And I was like, okay, maybe I can last a little longer.
Okay, so you know what? I thought that, and I was really like, okay, so we were like at the Angelic Theater, which is a theater I've known ever since I was very young. I've been around that side of town, and I was like, you know what, let's watch a movie. So it was Peter Jackson's They Shall Never Grow Old. It's a World War I documentary. I was like, hey man, it can't be that bad.
Right.
And it was something else. That was pretty dramatic. It was intense.
Peter Jackson looked pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was funny. When he came up on the screen, I was like, who's this crazy old guy? He's like, hi, I'm Peter Jackson. And I was like, that's Peter Jackson? I honestly thought he was way younger and less crazy looking.
So I was pretty thirsty / hungry from drinking like 12 hours before that I decided to go to the concession stand and spend $13 like an idiot, but I went ahead and went, got a bottle of Diet Dr. Pepper and a nacho. As I'm coming back, I see a full stack of Dragon Ball Broly postcards. That if you've listened to our other Not episode, you'll know perfectly well about those. And I look at the concessions guy. He's making direct eye contact with me. I look at him and I just take the entire stack and then I go about my business.
How many do you think there was? At least 120?
There was at least, like 150, yeah.
It was crazy. But the one thing that upset me about that was none of them was Broly. It was all the Gogeta ones.
I don't know where those Brolys are from, though.
We got seated. We started watching this documentary. Honestly, I didn't know much about it. It's a World War I documentary. And
Could
it was
have been better if it was World War II.
Yeah, honestly, I think I would have been more into it if it was World War II. But Peter Jackson explained it. He was like, okay, well, we had no new footage of this. So he's like, well, I took all the old footage we had that was unseen and we remastered it. So we're watching it. And at the time, it was like all the original footage, black and white. They're marching. It's blurry.
It still looked pretty good,
It still looked pretty good, yes.
Yeah, so the old footage, it was like maybe taking up probably like half of the movie screen. It was in like an old square format.
Yeah, like, whatever format they had back then, they did well enough to remaster it in its original form.
Yeah, so it looked good, because I even said to Anthony, I was like, it looks good, and it did. It kind of jumped around a little bit, but that's because they were kind of like motion blurring it.
Yeah, and the best part about it that I liked is that, so the commentary on the film was the actual guys that were there.
Yeah, so not only was the film reinstored, the audio was as well.
Yes, so it was all the guys that were there at whatever age they were. I don't know when they recorded this. Honestly, they were talking about what was going on, their experiences, and what got me was, so this was the perspective of a Brit. This was in England that they were doing this, and they were like, oh, we felt a sense of pride, a sense of justice, that we were all going to enroll in this military force to fight the Germans.
Yeah.
I honestly didn't feel the same way they felt.
I do, though. Honestly, if America goes to such a major war, I'm going to enlist.
I will not.
Like, if it's World War III, I'm going to enlist because I have people that I care about that I don't want.
No, the best one that got me was they were like, yeah, we used to march in the streets in front of everyone, and the guys would just happen to follow us behind us, a sense of, like, pride right in the enlistment office.
Right. So, I just looked up World War I was between 1914 and 1918. So, the youngest person on the video stated that when they enlisted, they were 15.
Yes.
Even though that was illegal. So that means that the people were at least 19 and older because they recorded those recordings after the war.
Yeah.
Some were much after the war, so they were at least over 19.
Yeah, what got me is one guy was like, yeah, I walked in the office as 15, but as soon as I walked in there, I was 19.
Yeah, they said I would go to the recruitment's office and they would say, oh, how old are you? Be like, oh, I'm 16. Oh, walk out, walk back in, and say that you're 17. And they did, and then they got enlisted.
No, I like that one. It was like, walk in, I'm 17. He's like, you know what? How about we add a couple years to that? You're 19 now, and you're just like, oh, well, I'm 19 now because I felt a sense of pride and I want to fight in this war. I mean, like, I like how much of a sense of pride they had for England that they wanted to fight for them. But man, it was in hindsight, this wasn't going to end well.
Yeah, well, they didn't know what they were getting into, but you could even tell in some of the photos that they were incredibly young.
No, what got me is one guy he was like, yeah, I signed up thinking it was all going to be glitz and glamour. He said after 2 days, he was like, I regretted that I signed up.
The one platoon that they majorly looked after in the movie started with 600 and they came back with 100.
So, we're going through the film. They show the black and white. They show them marching and stuff. And their training, which was pretty cool. Honestly, I was like, that's pretty cool. They're shooting guns. And a lot of guys are like, I never shot a rifle to my day. No, one guy was like, I never shot a rifle ever in my life. And he was like, I shot a rifle and kept making a bullseye. They put him on first riflery. And he was like, I never shot a gun in my life. So what got me is they did the training, they did everything else, and then when they got to, I think it was France, right? Where they fought the war at?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's France. Then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, so it went from black and white, them marching, to all of a sudden full color. The guys were talking. At that point, it became very serious. It became very personal.
All the recruiting and the training was all in the original frame black and white, restored. But as soon as they hit wartime, it went full color HD mega restore.
It was intense, guys.
The dead bodies didn't affect me that badly. What got me was when they did the close-ups of the diseases.
Yes.
I had to look away because some of the foot diseases that they had and the gunshot wounds that were infected, it got me. Like the dead bodies with the gunshot blown through the head, no problem. But as soon as I saw an affected foot...
No, just like when it was like, so I was watching it, and then when it came into full color, and it came into everything else, it got really personal for me.
Yeah.
And honestly, for me, like, I was watching, they were like, yeah, we dug the trenches, we ran through the trenches, and then they were like, yeah, so you couldn't stand up or you got shot. He's like, oh yeah, I was talking to one guy, and his head blew off, man. Peter Jackson did a really good job of conveying what you would feel if you were them.
Yeah.
And I felt that.
Yeah.
It was amazing, honestly. But it sucked because you had to see these guys die, and the stories, and the infections, and everything else, man, it was just really, really intense.
I still say it was incredibly boring. But I learned a lot, and what got me is when they took the Germans prisoner, and they were saying how nice and cordial they were toward each other. And then they said, oh yeah, we even thought we should team up and maybe fight the French or the Russians. One thing they didn't believe was that they should be fighting each other.
Yeah, so, like I've always said, it's not that a conflict between countries have a problem with each other. It's our higher up, the 0.001% of our population disagrees with them, but the whole country becomes to war because of that. And a lot of the Germans didn't believe they should be fighting the English and vice versa, so when they caught them and when they captured them, they were very nice to each other.
They imprisoned all of the Germans that put their hands up, except they didn't imprison the machine gunners.
No.
They killed them.
No, what got me is, so, they were talking about this, so at the very end, they were like, okay, so if we storm them, we'll win.
Yeah, but
even
we'll
though,
lose
so
people.
the account of them going up out of the trenches and storming the Germans, and they were just like, okay, we started storming them, the machine guns let out, all hell broke loose. They broke through everything, and they were like, okay, so the Germans that put their hands up, we would not shoot them. But by the end of the war, they were like, yes, we got to the type. The machine gunners still put their hands up and surrendered. We still shot them. Honestly, if it was me, and I'm already so jaded by this war, seeing famine, rats, everything else, and these guys surrendered, honestly, I still would have shot them too.
Yeah, I was surprised when Anthony said that because I thought the exact same thing. I was like, man, am I a terrible person? If they would have put their hands up, I would have still killed them.
No, because I'm such in a killing mode.
Yeah.
That even if you surrendered, honestly, I would have still killed you. At that point in time, so starting from when they raided it, starting to whenever they were.
Yeah.
They're so used to killing. It's killing. Someone put their hands up. Do I know any different? Honestly, no, I don't.
That's just a bad situation to be in.
Yeah, and then no, what even pissed me and more Don off about this is after the war is over, after everything's over, these guys they were such good dudes too. They were such good people. They were just wanting to live their life and everything else, survive, get to their families.
They wanted to represent their country.
And then when they got back, everyone treated them like just trash.
Yeah, because they thought they had no real world skills being a soldier.
So think about this. So it's like, I went and fought for your freedom. I went and fought for everything you believe in, for the life you can live. And when you get back, they're like, oh no, we don't want no soldiers to apply where we are.
Yeah, they put up signs, no soldiers apply. But on a lesser note, what got me is the Germans that they would rob them. This one guy was saying, oh, I went to one German prisoner and I was like, give me your pocket watch. And I got a pocket watch. Then he actually got shot on the battlefield and they sent prisoners to go pick him up on a stretcher, and it took 6, he was so big that it took 6 German prisoners to haul him back to camp, and then he stole all 6 of their pocket watches.
I mean, hey, we don't agree with it, but then at the same time, if everyone's doing it,
Be gone
we're
from me
gonna
now.
do it too.
What?
But
Be gone from me, you soy boy beta cock. The transaction is complete.